In terms of the fourth quarter, they had all but one of their buckets was inside the paint. Was that them just being able to get into the paint and get whatever they want because of that point of attack defense like you were talking about?
Yeah, they had that and 9 free throws.
The Indiana Fever were riding high on momentum, fresh off dominating wins against Paige Buchers and the Dallas Wings, crushing the Minnesota Lynx for their first Commissioner's Cup championship, and absolutely destroying A'ja Wilson's Las Vegas Aces in 3 straight victories. Everyone expected them to demolish the struggling LA Sparks, even without their superstar Caitlin Clark. But what happened next will absolutely infuriate you. The officiating was so disgraceful that coach Stephanie White could only muster 5 devastating words that exposed everything wrong with this league.
We should have won this game. There was inconsistencies in the officiating. Wait until you see the second half, and I have everything.
Walking into this matchup, the Fever were crippled. Caitlin Clark was sidelined with a left groin injury, her 5th consecutive game on the bench. The team's entire offensive identity revolves around Clark's court vision and playmaking genius. Without her orchestrating the offense, Indiana became a shell of themselves, but the injuries didn't stop there. Damiris Dantas was away representing her country, and in a shocking turn, Temi Fagbenley had quit the team entirely. 3 crucial pieces, gone in one devastating blow. Despite these massive handicaps, the Fever were still overwhelming 6.5-point favorites. ESPN's predictor gave them a 72.9% chance of victory. The logic was simple. The Sparks are literally one of the worst teams in the WNBA, and Indiana had just completed that incredible 3-game winning streak.
Finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It's just, it really is a day-to-day thing. And I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. It's anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So, we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
Even with all these obstacles, 3 Fever players absolutely refused to surrender. Aaliyah Boston was unstoppable in the paint, dropping 23 points and grabbing 12 rebounds on efficient 9 of 17 shooting. She showed exactly why she's an all-star caliber center, finally getting the touches she needed to dominate. Kelsey Mitchell stepped up massively in Clark's absence, pouring in 19 points with 3 crucial 3-pointers. She even reached a historic milestone, playing her 251st game for the Fever. Only Tamika Catchings has more in franchise history. Nalisa Smith brought veteran presence with 21 points and 9 rebounds on an incredible 8 of 11 shooting. These 3 carried the entire team on their backs, putting up championship-level numbers when it mattered most.
Howard looking backdoor for Mitchell, not there. Shot clock down to 7. McDonald feed inside, and it's Howard for 2. It's good record.
But here's where this story turns absolutely infuriating. Despite their heroic efforts, the referees made this game about themselves with call after call that went against Indiana. Sophie Cunningham got literally grabbed around the neck, and the refs called a jump ball instead of an obvious foul. This is the kind of favoritism that makes your blood boil. Aaliyah Boston, our all-star center, kept getting called for phantom touch fouls while the Sparks got away with far more physical play. The double standard was blatant and disgusting. Watch this sequence. Boston gets called for a foul when she didn't even touch anyone. Then Kelsey Plum elbows Lexi Hall and purposely steps over her so she can't get up. The ref was right there, but no call. In the fourth quarter, they called an away from the ball foul on nothing, just to put LA at the line. But when Nalisa Smith drives and gets slashed across the face, no foul, just out of bounds.
I don't get it. Breanna Stewart, A'ja Wilson, wait until you see what they did for Kelsey Plum tonight. They get all the calls, touch fouls, anything. And guess what happens? Aaliyah Boston, the best center in the game, and guess what happens to her? She gets called for every touch foul and ends up in foul trouble this entire season and is still putting up MVP type numbers. What happens with Caitlin Clark? Have you ever seen her get a touch foul? Phantom call? No. The physicality, that's the WNBA when it comes to Caitlin Clark. But anybody else, the physicality disappears and it's foul after foul.
After watching her team fight through adversity only to get robbed by officiating, Stephanie White finally spoke. The post-game press conference was tense. You could see the frustration written all over her face. White is known for being composed and professional. She always chooses her words carefully, but this time was different. This loss cut deeper than most. When asked about the fourth quarter collapse, White delivered her response in just 5 powerful words. "We didn't get the calls." That was it. 5 words that said absolutely everything about what happened in those final minutes. The frustration was clear. The disappointment was obvious. White had watched her team get robbed of a victory they deserved.
What does it take to get a team to be more consistent, especially from you on the coaching side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things. There's always got to be a high attention to knowing personnel. Oftentimes you don't get a lot of practice time, and so going over a lot of their sets, what you do. But at the end of the day, making sure we know our personnel, who we're going to run off the 3-point line, what we're willing to give up. We've got to make sure that there's a high attention to detail.
White's statement represented every Fever fan's anger. She spoke for everyone who watched that game and saw the same horrible calls that decided the outcome. But here's the incredible part. This devastating loss actually proves the Fever's championship potential. Think about what just happened. Missing 3 key players, they still nearly beat a team they should have destroyed. That's not weakness. That's pure strength showing through adversity.
About with Sophie Cunningham. Look at this. She literally grabbed her around her neck, and they called this a jump ball, and then threw her down the next play.
Caitlin Clark's return is right around the corner. She's been participating in drills and could return as early as their next game. Picture this lineup when she's back. Clark running the offense, Boston dominating the paint, Mitchell providing clutch scoring, Hull bringing energy and defense, Smith adding veteran presence. That's a championship roster right there.
Here's Mitchell off the screen, but can't connect on the 3. Boston offensive rebound, rolls it in and a foul. The 2 bigs bring the ball up the floor, and Hamby wasn't ready for that.
How about that change of pace? That burst like a guard gets downhill to the rim.
This young core has been battle-tested through the hardest possible circumstances. Boston has proven she can carry a team when needed. Mitchell has shown she can be a leader without Clark on the court. She's averaging 21.6 points over the 5 games Clark missed. These players aren't just surviving without their star, they're growing into championship-caliber contributors. The schedule ahead gives them chances to prove their strength with games against Golden State, Atlanta, Dallas, Connecticut, and New York. These are the tests that forge championship teams. But here's what should terrify the rest of the league. Teams that beat the Fever while they were down better watch out. The Sparks got them twice this season. Other teams took advantage of their injuries and roster changes.
Leah Boston, like I said, she didn't touch her. They put her in foul trouble all season long. They're just calling stuff to call stuff. The refs made this game about them. Aaliyah Boston, again, she's an all-star player. Look at these hits. Good thing Caitlin Clark didn't play because it was just a sloppy basketball game. Between the officials and the Los Angeles Sparks, look at this. They called this a foul instead of a block. And then there's Aaliyah Boston again. That's 3 fouls where she didn't touch anybody. And that's our best player, and wonder why we lose this game. Michaela Timpson, watch these 2 calls in a row. She didn't do anything. She got hit on that one, and they called a foul.
When this team gets healthy, they're going to remember every single slight, every bad call, every tough loss, every team that kicked them while they were down. This pain is building championship character. The frustration is creating hunger. The adversity is forging mental toughness that will carry them through playoff battles. This heartbreaking loss actually proves the Fever's championship potential when fully healthy. They're projected to be a playoff contender with potential to still secure a top 4 seed. Picture this revenge tour when everyone gets healthy. Clark orchestrating the offense with surgical precision. Boston dominating the paint like the all-star she is. Mitchell providing clutch scoring when it matters most. This battle-tested group will be ready to dominate.
This one pissed me off. Kelsey Plum seriously elbows Lexi Hall, then purposely steps over so she couldn't get up. Lexi Hall can't believe it. That's a foul. The ref was right there in front of her. And then here we go. And they kept McDonald in foul trouble the entire game. There's 2 in a row where she didn't do anything. Look at that. Just had her arms in the air, but they gave, this is the 4th quarter, and they just kept giving every single call. I like Leah Boston finally getting pissed off. Then they call this away from the ball in the 4th quarter. Nothing going on. just to put him at the line, and then Kelsey Plum another one. But when Howard drives and gets slashed across the face, no foul, just out of bounds.
Stay loyal to this team. Clark's return is coming soon, and when she's back, this group will remember every team that took advantage of their injuries. The referees might have stolen this game, but they can't steal this team's championship destiny. What do you think about the WNBA referees after watching this robbery? Let us know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. The Fever's revenge tour is coming, and you won't want to miss a single moment.
Be days where you make shots and miss shots. I mean, that's part of it. That's why I thought, AB had a really good look at the end. And so sometimes it just doesn't fall your way. So we're looking more about execution. I didn't feel like our execution was all that good at the end. I felt like in our reset timeout, it wasn't very good either. And, that's on us, continuing to make sure that we are going over that, as often as possible when we have our practice time, and making sure that we're sharp in those areas.